Hello and welcome to the latest Redmond review. I'm Chris Garlock, managing editor of the American Go e-Journal. With me once again, Michael Redmond, 9-Dan professional. Michael, thanks so much for being with us.
I am happy to be here.
Okay. So we have a special today, a special offering. This is a recent game that you played, hot off the presses, so to speak. And so let's jump right into it. Why don't you tell us about the tournament and who you were playing?
Well, this is in the Kiriyama Cup, so it's a fast game, and it's the first game I played in a while. So it's I'm sort of trying to get back into the groove, you might say, or into the right condition. And my opponent is Kobayashi Izumi, and she's the daughter of the famous Kobayashi Koichi, and the wife of Cho U, and so she's in a kind of a thoroughbred group there. And for quite a while, she was the strongest female player in Japan. And this is the first game it's actually the B section of the Kiriyama Cup. So I'm still in the elimination tournament.
Okay.
And since I'm doing all these commentaries of the master games, I'm trying to play something like a master opening, but I happen to have white in this game.
Okay.
And the master openings are so popular that generally I have the master opening played against me. So this is an example of black playing an opening that is exactly what master played a lot in its games, in the 60 games that it played. Like white would often play something like this on the left side, and then master would come in here. This was
right.
It's what I'm calling master's favorite opening, just because it played it in several of its games. Like if you just look at this position, I think there's probably about 10 games in which master played this opening with black. And then of course at this point white would sometimes play here and sometimes play here and stuff like this. And it's interesting because towards the end of the 60 game series, people started playing this against master. And so I knew what master's answer was. It was to play here. So I was going to try this out just to get a feeling of how it's supposed to turn out.
Okay.
And so we have here an opening. Up to this point, we have an opening that is still identical with some of the master games, in which in one game master played at B, and in one game master played at A. And I was wanting to control the center, and so something like A, but playing A in this position where black has that large knight's enclosure in the upper left corner it goes against the grain,
right?
Because it's giving black a lot of territory, and it would be a lot better to do it if that black stone in the corner was on the star point, when I would have more room to move in. And so I didn't really want to perfectly imitate master at this point. I wanted to try something on my own, which was this one. It's a kind of a master-looking move. It's sort of in what I think is the master style, and that it's building up into the center. And I think somehow master sort of likes to allow black to jump into the right side and then attack a little bit. And so I'm sort of trying to force the game towards that kind of thing. And by controlling the center, basically this confines black's moyo to the left side. Black's moyo is not going to spread out into the center now. And that means that white still does have some points in which to invade the side. And the fact that it's not going to spread out into the center in a way that makes it easier. So this the shoulder hit that I chose has the advantage of that it is reducing black's moyo while expanding white's. The reason it hasn't been played very much in professional play is because it doesn't really have any cash in it. It's not making any territory. So that's one worrying aspect of the move. So black comes into the right side, right in the middle of the side. So I have to choose will I extend towards it from the lower side or the upper side? And usually I think this might be the more natural looking move, I think. And we could expect something maybe like, maybe like this way, in which black has a fairly strong group there. And I didn't like this because it seems that white's moyo is sort of split in two now. Like the upper right part and the lower right part aren't really cooperating to make something big. And white stones on the left are not really going to work very well in the center of the board. So that's why I chose this side, although it does have that weakness in the corner, which I've marked, the 3 point. It's going to be a long time before black can actually take advantage of that. Because I'm going to start the attack now.
Right away.
Right away. Basically, this is my one chance to attack severely. And the way I'm playing it, I'm sort of building into the center. So this is a bit different from what I often see Master do, but I think I have a chance to build on the center while pressing on the black group. And in the process, there's a lot of variations that could happen, I think, that would give me a more solid low right corner territory.
Right.
This is what I was expecting, of course. This is the most natural move. And we have this is a kind of a joseki shape, almost, like this. And white has the option of playing at A to force black to live on the side, or playing at B to take the corner territory and force black out. So that sort of depends on, it depends a lot on what happens on the upper side. Like if black does something like this, then in this case, white would want to take the corner territory just to have a solid living shape. And then black would have to play here to make a full life. Whereas if something else happens, I'd probably have trouble finding a random black move. But like if in some cases, white would be able to do something like this to build on the upper side, in which case playing towards the center would be feasible. So I sort of have the feeling at this point that I'd probably, in most cases, I'd be playing with B. But in some cases, I would have the option of playing at A. And in either case, I have a very thick shape in the lower right area, so it's looking, that part of it is looking good for me. So I think this was actually, although it's what I wanted to happen, I think it's about even.
No, I like that. This works nicely with your moves on the lower left, but I'm thinking that maybe she didn't go along with your plan.
Right. She pushed here. This is a strong move. It's also a chance for me to fight very strongly, because you notice there's a lot of white stones in the area, and so I'm like the shape move here would be to play something like this. But since I have so much strength in the area, I'm just going to be playing very strongly here. This is sort of bad shape. Like when it doesn't work, it would be called a very vulgar move. That's the word that people use, I think.
If it works, it's okay.
If it works, it's okay. In this case, I'd say it. Well, some people would call it vulgar anyway. But since it works, I think in this case it's okay to play this way. An example of that, I do want to go into that, would be like if black plays here. Now this is sort of the proverb that says play a honey on top of two stones.
Right.
This is the shape move for black. But also the honey underneath is also, in this case, it's about equally important. Like this is also a vital point to mess up black's shape. And black has two cutting points now. Probably has to protect the lower one. But now when white cuts on the top, that marked white stone is in a vital point. And you can see that if black wants to open this up like this, then white's going to have a ladder here. And the moves I played originally on the left side are working out too, because they're a ladder breaking stone. And so this is going to be great for me in the lower side. And actually my corner is not going to be so easy for black to attack. Like even if black plays on the outside, it's not going to be a dead group after I play here. It's going to be a ko or something.
Okay.
And so this is it's not as serious as it could be in the corner for me. And so black plays down. This is a very calm, a solid move. Like if black, even if black realizes that the Hanetsugi underneath is important, playing this way is no good, because this would just give me a very strong shape on the outside, and the Hane on the top would not work anymore. I'd be able to Hane against it, so I'd be able to build on the lower right area, and black would not be getting very much out of it. Well, when black plays straight down, in this case, the Hane on the top works, and I will not be able to Hane against it. So it will be much more effective. And so that's the reason for this this move, which is naturally it's threatening to connect up, but still leaving the option to play a Hane on top, which works much better after this exchange. Because as I was saying, without the exchange, it's not going to work because of the Hane being a key point.
Sure.
So so I sort of agree with this move that black played, but I extend, black connects. And when I play here, I actually feel that this is already starting to look good for me. Because the move I've just played is a big territorial move, and it takes away black's eye space. So that the important part of it is that it takes away black's eyes. Black's connection to the mark stone here, it's a knight's move shape. It's not very thick. Like if black jumps out, if black wants to move out, black has to be very careful. Like if black jumps out, it's not really connected because white can cut it off with something like this.
Yeah, that's nice to Tsuji.
Something like this. So it's not a perfect connection. If we assume black plays more solidly to move out, then this is still not a living shape on the side. So black has to escape into the center. We can see that it's going to be a while before black connects up to any friendly group. You know, black has to go all the way to the left side of the board. And in the meanwhile, white's sort of strengthening gradually the lower right area, and we'll be building on the lower and upper sides as black runs away. So this is a good attack for white. So moving out on the side is not so good. So black moves out on the upper side. But of course, this is what you call miai. White can take either the point black played or this point. And white's 3 stones, although for a bit there they were looking a bit alone, they're actually not isolated because now I'm pretty much connected up. And black is, of course, not alive. Now, playing something like this or something like this is probably not very profitable for black. Like this would go like this, and black would still not have a living shape. And I would be more, I'd be very sure of my lower right corner territory now. So this would be actually more profitable exchange for white. And again, with this, in this case, it's the same story basically. It's not going to live on the side. The black group's not going to live on the side. And actually, this has just sort of reinforced my connection. So this makes it easy for me. So it's good that black does not play that exchange.
And the stronger that white gets towards the middle, then the more trouble black will have in the corner, right? Because you'll be able to play strongly against the invasion.
Well, yeah, like against this, I would now play here. Right. This is a point where it's sort of fluid. While I'm attacking the side group, I don't really have to worry about this. Right. But eventually, it will depend on whether black gets any extra stones. Like if there's a black stone in this vicinity, then that would completely change what happens in the corner. So it's sort of the lower right corner area is still a bit fluid. It could turn into a ko, or I could let it live. It doesn't really matter as long as I'm attacking the side group. Right. And so black moves out without playing that exchange, and I extend on the side. I'm still trying to sort of curl around black and keep between the black group and the black moyo on the left. And now my opponent is setting something up. She wants, as I just told you, playing moves like this or like this are probably more profitable for white. So what black is doing is black is trying to make some trouble here to sort of engineer a sequence in which black can strengthen the group. And now it would be really bad shape for me to connect.
How many empty triangles have you got there?
Yeah, just 2. But, you know, this sort of develops into a big blob. if black chooses to play this. And so it would be really bad shape, and it would be a lot of trouble if anything happens on the right side. Like if black does something like this later, it's going to be a bit troublesome to have that eyeless chunk of stones there. And you can see that black is getting some extra moves in the center. So this is something that I definitely don't want to do. And so I play the ate underneath. And this is all sort of standard shape moves. Actually, I could play here and I would be safe. Like, there's no way that black's going to cut here. Even if I play here, or even if I play it safe and just play here. This fight is going to be good for white. But what black is going to do is black is going to cover from the top and force me to put an extra stone in. Right. And all those stones on the second line, a bit too many stones on the second line and third line, connecting dame points. So I didn't like that. Black would just play something. And all those 4 stones that look like a ponnuki on the right side are fairly light. Black can afford to throw them away.
Sure.
So I play the Atari. This way, I'm trying to get a more effective way. Like if black plays here now, in this case, I'm going to be able to capture the 2 stones. And it's a much more effective way to handle the problem. Now I have a living group there, which means it's going to be, even if black can live in the lower right corner, there's going to be no extra profit for black when black does do that. Because I have a living group there, there's no way it can be hurt in any way. So this would be much better for me than the variation, this variation that I was showing. There's I could probably switch back and forth just to sort of show the difference, which I have eyes there. And now, after doing that sequence, which was a very natural exchange of 2 or 3 moves each on the right side, black has actually left the potential for a ko here. And it's a ko for which black does not have a valid ko threat. So what this invasion of the right side, the upper side is it's black is trying to create a valid ko threat for the ko that black is about to start on the right side. So black starts the ko. The profit for white is that once this ko starts, this stone that black has just played is going to be a dame point.
Right.
When white wins the ko. And white's going to get a huge thickness in the right side of the board. And so we'll just flow through the moves to see that happen.
Wow.
Okay, so both
sides. This is the actual game, right?
Something. This is the actual game.
Yeah.
And both sides have very good shapes. Like white has a huge thickness on the right side, and this means that any invasion that black might want to do to the lower right corner, there's no way that black will really want to do it in the middle game. Now it's turned into kind of an end game move because it's not going to have any influence on white's life or death on the right side. And so it's just going to be a question of territory, whether that is going to be something like a 40-point white territory, or is it going to be reduced to something like 20 points. And so it's a relatively light burden for white, and black has to be really careful about the timing of an invasion to the lower right. So I have a lot more potential to make that into a territory now, I think. Of course, black's weak group has transformed into almost thickness, you might say. It's not 100% alive yet, but it's going to be very difficult for me to attack that black group in the near future. And that white stone that's sort of stuck against it on the left there is, for the time being, it's not really working. So there's a huge difference in power on the upper side. So both sides are satisfied in profit, and I think it's about an even result.
Okay.
I play this move because actually black had a peep in the mark point, so I needed to play this exchange. I would like to be able to do something like this, but anytime black plays here, it's going to be big trouble.
Okay. Yeah. Now I was looking at that. I guess it just doesn't. It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I would sort of. Yeah, it looks like a nice double peep, but it's not going to work. So this is the end result here. We can see that if black takes that one white stone, if black captures the one white stone, black will have something close to living shape. On the other hand, if white does eventually connect that stone, then black will not have any eyes. And so, also it happens to be a good time for white to head towards the upper left area. So as I do that, as I do this, I will be sort of bearing in mind the fact that if I get a strong group on the upper side, I will have the potential to counterattack or attack the black group on the right there. So I'm bearing that in mind. But as far as space is concerned, the left side is pretty big too. So that's why I'm sort of playing a kind of a central point here. Instead of just diving into the upper side, I want to play in a point where I can jump into the left side or the upper side, depending how black plays. Like when this is the game move, black is starting to surround the upper side, but you can see that at the best, black's only going to get territory on the fourth line.
Just a quick question. So you pretty much had this whole sequence planned out when you won the Ko, right? You knew you were going to be able to tanuki and play away.
Oh yes, of course. But of course, the actual placement of this move I was just playing here, there's a number of moves I could have considered. Like I was okay. Let's go back to the move tool. I could have played this, which would give black more opportunity to surround the left side with this. And in this case, I don't think that an attack against the right side black group is that imminent. It's not that realistic that I could immediately attack black. So if we assume something like this and something like this, maybe something like this, just to this might be a bit slack, but just to keep it simple. Sure. Black's getting a lot on the left, and white's not really strong enough in this exchange to immediately start attacking black. Like if white tries to attack black like this, it's really white who will be under attack first.
Right.
And so I don't really see an immediate attack coming out of this when I go in between the two black groups. Just to give you another, I could have maybe played here, but then of course you see black playing on top. And although it looks like white can live, in the process, white's going to be reducing the corner territory. And so it's sort of trying to make a life on the upper side can be sort of self-defeating. When black goes around on the top, we can see that now sort of the two white groups, the white group in the upper right corner and the white group on the upper side, are sort of getting in each other's way. And so it's allowing black to be more aggressive here. So actually, the upper side, as far as territory is concerned, is not so important, because in this kind of thing, later on, after I allow black to surround that area on the fourth line or something, then I can later on play moves like around here, and this will be increasing the corner territory while decreasing black's side. So actually, as far as territory is concerned, I'm okay with black surrounding the upper side if I can move into the left in an efficient manner. So this is what I'm with the capping move here, the Bosi. I'm really sort of looking more to the left than I am to the upper side, I think. But of course, if black does play something on the left side, like something like this would be.
I was just wondering about that. Yeah.
And white continues with something like this. Maybe. I'm not sure about that last move. Might be better to play something a bit looser. Now you can see white's moving into the upper side with a lot more room. Like white's got got a few extra lines to the left. So white's group is a lot bigger in that direction and a lot stronger because of that.
Right.
Just because of the fact that black has this white has this one extra stone here. It makes white's group much stronger. And also the stone in the corner is sort of getting in the way of black a bit, and so white has some potential to use that stone to squeeze black. And so I would have more potential, since my group is stronger, I would have more potential to eventually attack black on the right, and black would be getting less territory on the left. So I'd be happy in this case. And so naturally black plays here, I play here. Right now, what I'm trying to do with this attachment is I'm actually thinking of attacking the corner because the natural move for black is to play here. And I was planning to play here. And we can see in this sequence here, this is what I'm expecting, sort of. And in order for this to work for white really needs that marked exchange. Like if black was playing at that at the point where that white stone is, then white would have just terrible shape. And it would be a dead shape, basically. But with this shape, white's playing a hane on the top, and so the marked exchange there is working very well for white. So this was sort of what I was aiming at. And actually, I was... my opponent actually used a lot of time in the fight on the right side.
What are the time limits?
It's a 1 hour piece, and then I think it's 30 seconds per move.
Okay.
And so we have a good piece of time to start with, but my opponent sort of got in trouble on the right side, and I think she used most of her time up there. So she's playing fairly quickly. At this point, I was, I just didn't know. I knew that I just showed you the sequence that I was sort of hoping for.
Right.
But I didn't really know what my opponent would be doing now. So I was thinking of moves like this, or moves like, this is one move I was thinking of. I was also thinking maybe black would play here. And this is a variation that I hadn't completely worked out, because I was planning on counterattacking here, and this would lead to a wild fight.
Yeah.
No, black can't do that, sorry. Black plays here and then something like that. And I hadn't really worked this out. I had the feeling it was going to be okay for white. But like I would do maybe something like that. Just because of the fact that if we assume something like this, then white's going to be able to capture the two stones in the center in the ladder.
I'm sorry, you said you had a feeling it was going to be okay for white?
Yeah. I wasn't sure. Like if black plays here, white can play here and capture the two stones.
Right.
So this works.
Sure.
And then if black avoids that by playing something like this, now white's going to be able to capture him. And white still has some aji in the corner, so this is going to be good for white. But there was a lot in this variation that, like I could go on for the whole day, and I don't really know exactly what's going to happen here. So this is a move that I was this is a move that I was sort of worrying about. I was planning on playing the strongest counterattack for white, but at the time I didn't have it completely worked out.
Right.
But since my opponent played here, I just forgot about that at that point.
Wow. Was that in your calculations at all?
Not at all.
Yeah.
This is the variation that I sort of had planned, the one where I go into the side.
Right.
And obviously, this is a move that is designed to prevent that. So black saw the weakness in the corner, and she played to stop me from taking advantage of that.
But the timing's a little bit off, right?
Well, usually you would see black playing that move at this point, right?
Yeah.
But it's a bit, in either case, I don't really like the move. Like you could see black,
slow.
It's a slow move. It's a very defensive move. It doesn't really seem a natural move in the game either.
Sure.
So like, I would just probably go for this move. And I'd probably get into trouble if I was a black player. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a strange order of moves. It's a bit submissive. Yeah. And white gets to play on the outside. Now we can see that white's sort of getting closer to the black group on the left, on the right, that is.
On the right, yeah.
And so it's sort of questionable whether black can be in an attacking position here, because black's group on the right is not completely alive.
Yeah, this is working out really well for white.
Yeah, it's not so bad. I have reduced the left side too, so I've sort of accomplished what I wanted to do. So black attacks from the center, which makes sense. Black is sort of trying to confine white to the upper side, and well, at least I've reduced the left side. So the left side is pretty much, if black surrounds the left side, it will be only on the fourth line.
Well, here's sort of a master go question, because you had raised, this idea of trying to do that. And we've talked about, I think, in almost every commentary about how master go tends to get that, bit of an advantage early on and then just kind of bring it on home. What's your assessment of the balance in this game at this point?
I think I have a small lead. So I think it's exactly the kind of position where master would be starting to simplify. And master is very good at that. Like it's something, it's an attribute you usually find in a top professional player, to be able to simplify the game when you're ahead.
Right.
It's not so easy. It's a bit difficult to actually pull that off. But Master is really good at that, and it sort of plays a perfect middle game to the early parts of the end game. And then, of course, it starts losing points, but at that point, it knows it's going to win anyway.
Right.
At this point, we see White's getting a sort of a blob of a shape, but actually White's going to be alive now. And Black plays this move. There's some defensive meaning to this move because Black needs to complete her connection in the center. And so Black's making sure that the right side Black group is not going to be under attack. So now we see that White is completely alive on the upper side. White has this one eye where I just played, and on the upper side there's another eye there, or a connection to the right, to the right upper right corner. So White's 100% alive, and Black now has a connection in the center, a connected shape. And if Black captures the one white stone on the right there, maybe I should mark that point. If Black captures here, then Black's going to have a living shape, just about. Okay. And so for the time being, it's going to be difficult for me to attack that Black group, and the white group is 100% alive. So the fight ends here. And this is, and I think when I'm teaching amateur players, I think one of the most important things for people to be careful about is to recognize when a fight is over, because it's something that it happens. Pros are pretty automatic in recognizing that. And also, it's an attribute I see in Master, in which Master is actually maybe even better than pros at being able to leave a position. But the ability to leave a position is very important, because any more moves in the area, like if Black plays something like this, it would be safe, and some players would be happy because they would know they would not die or something like that. But it would be an inefficient move because there's still a lot of big points. So so Black plays on the lower side. So Black is sort of trying to make an attack on these white stones, because Black does have some extra stones lined up on the center. But the fact that my stones further up on the upper side are 100% alive means that actually the center is not 100% Black's thickness. And also I have a thick shape on the right side too. So I'm not really worried about these two stones. Of course, if Black plays something like this, then maybe I would play something like this on the lower side. So there's a lot of territorial meaning to this move. Like this would reinforce the lower right corner, and I would be starting to think of making territory in the center of the board if I played here. So that's part of the meaning behind this, and also Black is sort of hoping to attack White. But I'm not really worried about that yet, because the center has become a bit small. This sequence on the left of the board is sort of similar to some sequences we saw in the Master games. I might have an opportunity to show you a similar game. And this is the way that, it's the most natural way for White to jump into the left side here. Black's Knight's move here, by the way, is good when Black has a solid shape to the right. Like playing something like this would be a bit weak in territory. It would leave the opening underneath for White to jump into the corner later. And something like this would just give White one more forcing move here, and it would sort of strengthen my group. And so in this case, since Black does have such a solid shape in the corner, it's okay for Black to play the Knight's move. And now Black, at this point, I think if we peaceably, if it's a peaceful continuation now, Black has to protect the left side there, and White has to protect the lower right area. This game could continue with not very much fighting anymore. Like if Black played something like this, then I would probably play something like this, and we would both be consolidating our areas, and this would be probably be a win for White. I think I have enough territory to win this game now. And playing the move I just played on the third line, it's going to make a big difference in the corner. Like with this zone in, I don't really have to worry about the invasion in the corner. I'm going to be able to kill it.
It's not even co, I don't think, right?
It's not going to be a co. Like in this case, I would kill it this way, and my extra stones on the right side will help me surround this.
Right.
I could probably find a way to come around on top and kill that group.
That's a difficult one to try at home.
So something like that. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that I would be able to kill it. And so black still wants to continue fighting here, and white is supposed to try to find a way to simplify things. Only I didn't do that, you know. Being human, I got a bit greedy, I guess. So far, black is trying to split the two white groups and attack the lower side to white stones, which I can actually afford to sacrifice. In this sequence, the gain that white has is that white has reduced the left side black territory. Like, there's much less territory in the left side for black to claim now. My side group is on the way to being alive. So it's not 100% alive yet, but it's getting stronger in this whole exchange. It's got a bit stronger. The move that black has just played here is a necessary move to complete the connection to the center. Mm-hmm. And so now black's group on the left side of the board is connected to black's group on the right side of the board, and the whole thing has some eye space too. So this is a good point for me to just forget the idea of attacking black, which I didn't do.
You didn't really do that, did you?
It's an example of the difference between master and human pro, I think. It's shown here in it's probably a bit exaggerated version, because I really messed up here. But even with the top pros, I was seeing a difference in the human does have emotions and a bit of greed in some cases, which can throw you off. And this is an example of where I just really messed up. So I'll show you. I'll first show you what I should have done.
That's great
plank here. I want to make sure I have some extra eye space. So I think I want to play here. This is threatening to cut off those two black stones. So black's going to play here, and then I want to play another forcing move here, just to make it more difficult for black to attack these stones. Now at this point, it's not going to be easy for black to even take away the eyes from this group. But even if black does take away the eyes, I still have some room. I have some room in the center to make an extra eye maybe, and I have some room to move to the right and connect up to white's territory. So this would be a good point for me to start surrounding the lower right corner. And locally, I can kill this black group.
Okay.
So I think at this point, white should have a small lead. And unless I really mess it up, I should be able to win the game. That's my feeling.
It's not a designable game, but
it's going to be a fairly close game, I think.
Okay.
But I have the feeling I have a small lead. But that's not what I did. So I pushed through here. The meaning of this move is that actually black does not have a perfect connection. So I'm trying to bully black around a little bit. Like I should have been satisfied with the fact that I have a forcing move right here. This should be good enough.
Yes.
But I'm trying to move that stone to something like this. I'm trying to get a better forcing move. So that's the meaning behind this. We can see that white has a double Atari there, so black has to connect here. And I play here, and I'm saying, you have to put another stone in. But looking at it now, that's pretty ridiculous, because black does have room to make eyes in the upper right. And any move here will completely live on the right side. Any move here will save black's group on the left side. So black doesn't really have to worry about this. And pushing through at this point, let's just use one more marker. I'll change the shape. Pushing through here is going to be ruining my own shape also. Like it's going to be dangerous for me too. So I need really to have it well set up before I can play that move also.
Were you under any time pressure trying to at all, or just
at this point I've used up most of my time.
Okay.
I'm about to get into the second reading as we get into that very, very complicated sequence on the left side.
So another reason not to get into something complicated, right?
Right. Now I think my opponent's suddenly feeling pretty good about the game when she plays here, because the reason I say that is because this is a safe move. Like black's trying to simplify things now. So she actually realized that I'd messed up at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Now this move is threatening to kill the whole white group with the black stone at A. And the point here is that if black does not play that, if we have white at some point playing this, then we can see that the black group there is sort of in damismari and a lack of liberties. And this is something that is not going to immediately work for white because the 2 stones on the upper side are not saved yet. But it gives white all sorts of potential to change the fighting on the left side of the board. So black at this point is playing is trying to simplify the game by getting rid of all that aji, that potential on the left side of the board, playing this forcing move, which of course, if I answer it here, then there's no problem. If I answer it A, then I'll be perfectly alive. But black's just trying to simplify that, and then she's going to move to maybe she's going to move to the lower right corner. I think this is actually a chance where black can pretend to be master in reverse. Like I was showing you the way the master would finish off the game for white. Now it's actually probably just after this one mistake by white. It's probably an opportunity for black to do the same thing. And and so yes.
Just wondering about that cut. Does that?
Okay, let's get to the game variation here. So instead of playing at A to make a life, in which case, if master was black would move to the lower right corner maybe and make a life there. So I feel that since I played this move in the center, this marked stone, that I should be able to punish black on the left side. So basically, I'm trying to make the marked move work. So again, it's kind of a human element here, which would not be in a computer program. And this is a kind of a test. This move would work to a certain degree if my upper side group was alive. But since my upper side group is not alive yet, it's not going to work. So this is going to be bad. So here we have a standard Tetsuji sequence. Now at this point, we can see that if black does something stupid, then black stones in the center are going to, like if black plays here immediately, then white can connect here. And the stones in the center are in danger. So this is basically one of the reasons that I'm doing this kind of thing is that now this stone here, this white stone here is actually going to work.
Right.
So this is a reason for it to have that stone right there. So this is something that black is not going to do. What black should do, I'll show you the game move. This is a really beautiful move. It's a Tetsuji, but the final answer is that she should not have done that.
Wow, wow, because it looks really gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a groovy move, but it's just being too fancy. All black has to do is take the 2 stones. Now this would be threatening white's upper side. White cannot afford to throw that group away. It's too big. So white lives, and now black wins. Usually I would say black wins the semi. Actually, I can force a ko maybe if I wanted to, but it's not very practical. Like if I played here, I could make a ko of it.
Wow.
But where's my ko threat?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay.
I don't have
all right. Well, there is that.
Yeah, there's no ko threat. And you realize that when this ko is over, the whole left side of the board is going to be like it's burned out. It's going to be a black territory.
That's a problem.
Yeah, so this is completely bad for white. I would probably have to play something like this, and black would win the semi. Sorry, I've jumped to a different. Black would win the semi, and I would be able to get something back in the center of the board. Black can afford to throw away that center.
Really?
And now black has an easy win. Like black gains something like 20 points on the left side of the board, more than 20 points.
Wow.
And white's gained something like 10 points in the center, and of course, white's very thick. So maybe it's close to an even trade here. But of course, black gets sente,
right.
And black has a strong position, a connected position on the lower side, so black has nothing to worry about, and black's going to win now. So this would be easy for black. And so we've both been in second, well, my opponent's been in second reading for a while. So she's really not had the opportunities to read ahead and read extra variations. So that's her excuse for making mistakes. Like really, she's been chased by the second reading for a while now, so she hasn't had the time to read ahead. This is where I run out of time, I think. So I should have had the opportunity to have some kind of idea of what I wanted to do before I jumped into this variation. But I was very rash here. But I was lucky because she played this move. And I think it was just a simple oversight, maybe, because you would think that now black could play something like this to kill the upper side. But that doesn't work. Like I can push through here. If we have black playing here, this is just bad for black. That the center black group is going to die. It only has 3 liberties. And white's left side group is pretty strong, actually. So this is bad for black. It's a little better for black to play this way. And maybe this is where she had some kind of a misreading, because this threatens the left side white group.
Sure.
And she has to go back to the center, though.
Yeah.
And now I can push through on the upper side. And this is, I did make a variation here, so I'll show it to you. But it's not going to be good for black, because black has a lot of potentially dead groups around. Like when I play this move, I'm threatening to kill the corner. The left side semi is not a problem for me anymore. The upper side black group is not alive. And so there's a lot of potential problems for black here. Black probably has to play here to live on the upper side, but I can kill the corner. And so this is going to be very, very easy for me. There's going to be a ko in it somewhere, but it's just too far away for black. It's not realistic. When I made the variation in the SDF file, I think I did say how many step Yoseko it is, but I'll not bother to go into that now because I forgot. Yeah. So
that's good enough.
I think this is a point where black has maybe misread what happens when white pushes through here. But obviously she realized it at this point. So she plays here. So that gets rid of the mark move. And it's still, now I have to live, right? Because I cannot come back. And black plays here. This is keeping it interesting. And so at this point, I think still white's gotten into a fight that I should not have gotten into. But I'm not going to die outright. Like this Sarari to the first line is a Tetsuji. If I just play here, then it will be relatively easy for black to kill me because the black group is alive. And so it's a really interesting, weird situation where the Sarari actually works better. Because this, for the time being, it's killing the lower side, the left side black group. Black has no way to make eyes without forcing. Like if black plays, let's see, I put some variations in. If black plays here, white can win the semi. That's a one move difference.
Right.
If black plays here, now black has to move back to the left side to make a living shape, and that's where Sarari comes into play. And I can cause some trouble for black in the center of the board again. So, well, this is pretty, actually, this kind of reading is relatively easy because it's sort of, it's a single line reading.
Right.
And so it's not a lot of variations, really. So although it's a lot of moves, it's relatively easy for us to figure out these variations in the 30 seconds we have for each move.
Right.
And this is going to be good for white because I've really gained a lot on the left side there. Like black's corner is falling apart, and I'm going to be able to live with most of my left side group still. It's not as if the whole group is going to die. Like if at some point I play this mark point, I sort of have an eye and sente there, and of course I have a potential eye here too. So my group is more okay than you might think it is. Okay. And of course, upper left corner is falling apart. So this would be bad for black.
It's a disaster for black.
So black plays here. Let's see what happens. So now black needs to play this move at some point to make the connection in the center. And still black cannot, if black plays, let's see if I put that, yeah, black plays this one, it's going to kill the side black group. So this is actually something that could have happened, and it's going to be a ko. Because otherwise, if white just takes the one black stone, white's going to lose the semi by one move. So it's going to be a ko here. But actually, although this is a kind of a desperate looking ko for white, this is going to be okay for me. Because if I win the ko, it's going to be a lot of damage to black's corner territory. And I'm going to get a big territory on the side. My side group is going to become alive. So it's going to be enough to win the game if I win the ko. And black doesn't really have any ko threats anymore. Like the upper side is yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask because I was looking around real quickly and I just was trying to think, well, what could possibly be a big enough ko threat? Like maybe one or two, but kind of hard to find, right?
And for white, like breaking into the lower left corner with a like this is a useful move in that it connects the white group also, or doing something on the lower side, which would make a big difference to the corner territory. So white has a number of ko threats that will be good enough. So this ko is actually, although it's locally it's tough for white, it would be okay. So black makes a life, and now it looks like both sides are going to live. If I play there, of course. And this is really
don't tell me.
So this is really where I really messed up. I just had a kind of a hallucination in that I could play here, and this is
it's a great move. I like it. It's got style.
This is going to kill my group because this is what black could have done, and this is a kind of point where I feel that there's a kind of telepathy or a kind of communication between the players when we're playing, because I was confident that my cut was going to work. I completely missed this variation, in which case now black's going to win by one move. Do you want me to go through that again? Did I do that too quickly? I'll go through it again. Black plays the target here to kill white. And then you see the corner, the semi in the corner is going to be a win for black anyway. So there's no problem there. And the semi on the side, now there's no way for white to make a ko out of it. So black wins by one move. And so it's just a dead white group. There's
I guess what I'm confused at is how did you miss that again? This is what the shared hallucination is. What is?
I was just assuming that black would play here. So I missed the as I played it, I started to see it, but I didn't really realize that I was going to die at the time. I was, and my opponent sort of picked that up, I think. And so she was sort of assuming that this cut was going to work because I was playing it so confidently.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is a lesson that you should be telling us here.
I think the fact that I completely missed it actually saved the day for me here, because if I had realized it, I think my opponent would have somehow picked that up. I think there's a lot of communication there. And so this is kind of the play. It's not really a good sequence anyway. I probably I sort of played here anyway. And even if we're just looking at the territory, there's you can reason that this is actually better. But I was just trying to do a little extra squeezing here, getting a potential cut in the center. I'm still thinking about attacking that center black group, which is not reasonable. Still, it's not reasonable. So it's just some of that extra emotion coming into play. So finally, I'm alive. And at this point, I haven't really, it hasn't gone as badly as it should have for me, but it's not very good either, because you can see that my left side, I've gained some points on the left side, but my side group that is moving out into the center here is not very strong. It doesn't have I shape yet. And black has the next move. So this means that if black does it properly, if black plays correctly, black's either going to get a big territory on the lower side, or maybe black has an opportunity to jump into the corner now, the lower right corner. So actually, this is taking a position that I think was good for white. And now I think it was good for white before white did all that. But now I think it's probably good for black. Black plays here. Black's trying to attack the center. Another option that black had was to jump into the corner. I think this would have maybe been a shorter way for black to win the game. It would have been a quicker way, maybe.
Simpler.
But black, yeah, simpler. So I play here. This is sort of getting rid of the cut on the third line, and now I play here. I'm trying to make some extra aji here. And this is a point, I think this was black's last chance to have a winning position. Because if black had played here, it would have been relatively easy for black to cut me off. And just to show you one variation, it's not going to be a happy ending for white. This is just white's not accomplishing anything. And we can see that the left side white group is still, maybe has one eye, but still has to run out.
Maybe one eye.
Maybe one eye. Yeah, one eye is not good enough anyway.
No.
And if white can struggle to get out into the center, like something like this. But in the meantime, black just surrounding the lower side will be good enough for black. Black probably doesn't even have to worry about the corner now.
Right.
So this would be easy for black. White might find something a bit better than that, but you know, playing this way is not going to work either. It's the same story basically. This is bad for white because now black will probably just play on the outside with something like this, but white has kind of a flimsy shape on the left too. So this is more or less the same story as it was before. And so this would be relatively easy way for black to win. This was actually bad suji. It's what we call bad suji. It was bad shape.
Okay.
Black can cut white off anyway, and it looks like it's a clean cut, but actually black's paying a lot more back. So I'm suddenly feeling a bit happier about the game now. And in fact, when I played here, I was already feeling that this is probably good for white. And so it's really amazing to see how we're both making some pretty, I would say, elementary mistakes in the fight. Partly because this second reading, I do have the excuse that it's the first game I've played in a while, and I was really, I didn't have what I think is my usual feeling for the game. Since I had not played tournament games for a few months. I did very badly last year at the end of the year, and I just about lost all of my tournaments, so I didn't have any tournament games for a while.
Do you think?
And I think that's sort of showing in this game.
But that plus, perhaps you're also trying some new stuff, right? With the trying to do the master game, so maybe it's a combination.
Well, that's pretty
those
stimulating.
things.
Actually, I think that's pretty stimulating, and I think my opening in these games, actually, my opening is better than it used to be. I think I like my opening better than I used to. So I think my opening is potentially actually improving because of my experimenting with the master style stuff. But my reading in this game in particular is not very good. And at this point, my game plan has sort of changed. I've gained on the lower side a lot. We can see that black's corner territory is sort of flattened out, and so it's in the vicinity of 10 points, maybe a bit less than 10 points now. And since I have gained a lot on the left side of the board in the fight there, where I've lived inside what was potentially black's territory, and also because of the fact that at this point the game, the status of the lower right corner is getting more and more important. It's like whether I can make that into a white territory or not is a big issue at this point. So at this point, my game plan is sort of, I'm willing to sacrifice those white stones in the center of the board.
Wow.
And like if we have something like, let's just make another variation. I'm getting carried away today. If we have something like this happen, you can see that white's gaining on the lower side, and now the lower right corner is probably going to be a white territory. In this variation, I can afford to throw away the center group. Like it's about 30 points, maybe a bit more than 30 points. It's in the vicinity of 30 points. But I've already got a lot of territory on the left side, and I've gained something like more than 20 points on the lower side too. So I'm getting a lot back for sacrificing these stones. So this was my plan at this point.
Sure.
And so this is where black just, I think she got a bit impatient, because this really quickened, this really ended the game pretty quickly. It made it easy for me. black is trying to cut white off, but it just doesn't work.
Ooh, ow.
So this was, yeah, I cut here. Locally, I can sort of win the semi. If I play here, though, black will get a cut here. And this gets a bit complicated, like this kind of variation. I didn't want to bother. This looks like it could work for white too, but I didn't want to bother with reading it out. It's a bit complicated. So I'm playing the simple way, just giving myself good aji there. If black plays something in the center, now I can just connect there, and it's going to be easy for me to kill those stones on the lower side.
Wow.
And so black plays here, and this is just, it's a very, after all that complication on the left side of the board, this is very, very simple.
It must be because I can read it. So.
Yeah. And now white's winning the semi. Like if black plays here, white just plays here, and the white group has 5 liberties, and the black group has 4. So it's only 1 move difference, but that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And black cut and white played. This ended the game. So it's sort of after my trying so hard to lose the game, suddenly on the lower side, black made it easy for me. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I think the folks who've been wanting more longer commentaries are going to be pleased here, because
yeah. Well, in general, I think I will be doing longer commentaries on my own games and human games in general. So, so they can look forward to that.
Well, I mean, and you've talked about it before. I mean, one of the amazing things, but I guess from a commentary point of view, can be difficult, is that Master just is so solid, and as you were talking about earlier, I mean, once he gets that, or she, or whatever, gets that advantage, just kind of takes it on home.
Well, in a lot of the Master games, it played 60 games over the New Year's, but most of the time, the game is more or less over after about 30 moves. And after that, we're just watching Master clean up,
right,
and close up. But so it's not really, for me, it's not so interesting. And it's a different kind of thing. There's less drama to it, and it's not as instructive, I don't think. So
right.
With human games, unfortunately for the players, sometimes more interesting things happen toward the end. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, unfortunately for us viewers, it's very entertaining. So I definitely feel your pain,
yeah.
as the player. But well, congratulations on a really great game and pulling that out. So we'll get this up and then look forward to having some more of these exciting games, because I think you've got more in this tournament.
Yeah,
and,
I have 4 games, and I think I'm going to maybe do commentaries on about 3 of them.
Good.
And the games get better, actually. And so my reading in the middle of the game has recovered, I think. So that's something for people to look forward to.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Redmond's Reviews. I want to thank you, Michael Redmond, for a really terrific game and a terrific commentary as always, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Yes.